ES Audio.
Formula E is set to electrify the streets of London.
All 5 lights are on. It's
Racing trying to go around the outside of Nick de Vries. Can't quite pull it off. 3 wide further back. Tom Blomqvist getting fed out into the wall. And it was Cassidy and Jake Dennis. And Dennis has now tapped the back of Antonio Felix da Costa. The 2 Audis are going side by side. René Rast on the outside of the drop down.
Formula E, motorsport, but not as you know it. Electric cars tearing through city streets at up to 174 miles per hour. A 21st century spectacular drawing in passionate crowds.
You go to Mexico, you get 40,000, 50,000 people. You go to Indonesia, you go to places, like London here, for example, but like Rome, we get like over 10 million people watching the race live on TV every time.
Alejandro Agag is the founder and chairman of Formula E, a racing tournament that pushes electric vehicle tech to its limits and is coming into its own just as the world is looking for energy alternatives.
Mercedes, for example, decided to stop. I called them and I say that they're having the last combustion party because combustion is going to be banned.
I'm David Marsden from the Evening Standard, and this is how to be a CEO.
If I would have known many of the things I learned on the way, I might have not done it.
Firstly, I guess Formula E, like so many things, had to take a bit of a break during the pandemic. It must be nice to be back and to be welcoming crowds back and to be having people, that atmosphere back all over again.
Oh, it's fantastic. And I was just talking with the team yesterday. Great to see the people coming back and it will be, great to feel the crowd because, those races we did with the grandstands empty were definitely not the same feeling. It's a bit sad not to have the crowd there cheering for the drivers, and I think it will be great to have them back.
Just on your own personal note, have you missed being there yourself? What is it like when you see that atmosphere, when you're inside that atmosphere, and have you thought, that'd be nice to be back?
Oh, yeah. I've been there actually, but we were just us, just the people working at the race. And it was very strange. It was a weird feeling. So, but yeah, I've missed a lot being back to the real thing.
Formula E has been gathering momentum for a few years now. How much did having to take a pause, did that cause problems for building up awareness of the sport, for, did that kind of delay, that sudden stop, is that going to cause issues going further ahead?
COVID created a lot of problems for us, especially because we race in cities. And, when you have an event in the middle of the city, it's a lot more difficult to set it up and to get all the health and safety clearances and so on, compared to an event in a closed facility like a racetrack. A racetrack is a lot easier to contain. So, competitions racing in racetracks had, let's say, an easier COVID than we had. We had a really difficult COVID where the races were really difficult to set up. We had to do 6 races in one location. So yeah, it was, of course, definitely for us a big kind of break in the momentum we were having until COVID. But it's okay because the momentum was so high before COVID that even this slowdown, we are still in a very, very good place. No? So we're recovering very strong, and we are seeing the momentum in our races or events. We did the race in Jakarta a few weeks ago. It was incredibly huge sold out and great passion from the fans. Monaco was huge. So yeah, we are really bouncing back very strongly.
Yeah, I was in the centre of London last night for an event, and I actually saw advertising for Formula E. We were heading down on the tube and some very slick, very nice eye-catching marketing going on there. That's got to have been really important. I'm guessing you've gone, right, we need to tell people that we're back.
Exactly. You need to let them know you're back. And, this is something that in the beginning when I was setting up Formula E, and it was just an idea, one of my big dreams was, I hope I can go on the tube one day and see one advertising of Formula E, or be in an airport and and see an advertising of Formula E. And that happens now more and more. So definitely we need to raise awareness of the cities we are. But also we have to kind of measure how much we push because we don't have that many seats to sell. We race inside the cities. And so the capacity, like I said, is 30,000. We're going to be sold out. So we have to do enough awareness, but not to have 500,000 people trying to buy tickets and they get all frustrated. So I think we gotta measure it on the right level, which I think is what we're doing.
When you did start Formula E, I mean, I guess was the ambition to make it as big as Formula One?
You know, we always thought Formula E and Formula One were compatible championships, and they are compatible championships. And of course, Formula One has a history that Formula E can never achieve because we were not there in 1950 and they were. So it's not really comparable, and the aim is not necessarily be as big as Formula One. The aim is to be big, and then let's see what the future holds. No, but yeah, I mean, we are big fans of Formula One. I'm personally a very big fan of Formula One, and Formula One is doing great. I mean, you know, the motorsport Formula One is doing great. We just came back from an amazing event in New York, and we had so many fans who were coming because they're fans of Formula One. We're all on the same boat. You know, we compete against golf, we compete against tennis, but motorsport, it's kind of a one big sport that, you know, if Formula One does well, we also do well.
Yeah, but I'd imagine it'd probably be similar kinds of people going to them. But it is a different thing. In particular, the cars themselves, of course, they are electric vehicles. Is there an element, you know, you're talking about Formula One going back to the 1950s, and the cars there, the innovations there, end up on the roads for the consumers as well. Is there a similar path for EVs being used in Formula E?
Absolutely, and even bigger now in EVs because of the stage of development of the technology. You know, EVs are at an early stage still of development of technology, and they can get very quickly a lot of learnings from competition. One very quick learning that you can transfer from the race to the road car is the software that is used to control the systems, to control the battery, the energy flow, all the cooling. Cooling is hugely important for electric cars, and racing has the most advanced cooling of all, so you can transfer also those lessons. Battery technology, of course, efficiency of powertrain, and so on and so forth. So really, there is a lot of things that can be transferred from the racing to the road cars, which was the case always also with combustion, with Formula One and with other championships. I mean, you know, even the rear view mirror comes from a race in Indianapolis, and now every car in the world has a rear view mirror. Not something as simple as that.
I didn't know that, actually. People talk about the environmentally friendly nature of an electric vehicle, but Alejandro, is an electric vehicle actually environmentally friendly? Is it a perfect solution?
100%. And, you know, there is a lot of people who want to mislead and want to confuse things because they are enemies of the electric cars for one reason or another. They immediately say, oh, yeah, but the batteries also pollute, so let's stay with gasoline. One simple fact. Even if you get the energy from the grid, from the normal mix, which includes coal, even if you were to get all your energy from coal, imagine, okay? The efficiency of the combustion engine, it's around 20%. All the rest, what happens in your car, in your engine, you only use 20% of the energy that you get from the fuel to move your tires forward. 80% is lost in heat, in noise, in different things. The efficiency of a coal power station, it's about 90%. So all that energy is transformed into electricity that you charge your car with, and the efficiency of the electric car engine is 90%. Right. So only because of that, electric cars are 4 times more sustainable. Even if you produce the energy with coal or with fuel, if you produce the energy with solar, you are infinite times more environmentally friendly. So, of course, the batteries have problems. Of course, nothing is perfect, but there is no comparison how much more environmentally friendly electric cars are. And on top of it, they don't produce toxic particles, which are the ones that the NOx, that are the ones that produce all the really ugly contamination in cities that produces huge, massive health problems for the population. So, of course, to pollute is bad, but it's much better to pollute in the middle of nowhere than in the middle of the city where people are.
Definitely true. You talked about the batteries there a couple of times and sort of issues around those. I understand that you have another startup which is looking at solutions to that issue of recycling batteries. Is that right?
Yeah, Gigamine, that is looking at recycling batteries. The recycling of batteries is going to be a very big part of the equation. Batteries are still not coming back in a massive way because electric cars are being really developed, really adopted in these years. This year we're seeing a real inflection point on the number of sales of electric cars. And these batteries last for a long time. The car will use its battery for 20 years, 25 years, 30 years. So we will see a lot of these batteries coming back to be recycled maybe in 15 or 20 years, the first batch, let's say. But these batteries can have a second life when they lose the level of efficiency or the level of performance they need for a car. After that second life, you may want to recycle them. But, we are looking at technologies that can recycle up to 99% of all the materials that are in a battery. And one of the main challenges, if we want to keep up with the production of electric cars and the projections, is going to be the supply of these raw materials that you need for them: copper, lithium, nickel, and so on and so forth. Recycling is going to be a key part of getting back some of those materials.
I need a battery recharge myself, so let's take a break. While the ads are on, why not give yourself a speed challenge? How fast can you rate, review, and follow this podcast? Quicker than a commercial break? Let's find out. Can I take you right back to the formation of Formula E and, this idea to create this championship, I guess. I mean, that's a big undertaking when you're sitting there going, I want to create a brand new race involving cars that kind of didn't exist, I guess, or at least not the sophistication they are now. What were you thinking? How on earth did you manage to pull that off?
If I would have known many of the things I learned on the way, I might have not done it. But luckily I didn't. So that's one of the good things of ignorance. You can get into projects that you don't really realize what you're getting into. It was a lot more than what we thought it would have been. I mean, it was really a huge undertaking. Especially doing races in city centers was so big. I remember the first race we did in Beijing. I moved to Beijing for a month before, and I was going every night, and I was myself actively participating in the job of putting the walls and the fences down and the assembly of the track like a huge Lego. And that was a big challenge to do 10 of those in 10 cities the first season. It was really hard. And then also we ran out of money a couple of times. We had to raise more capital every time. And every time was really nerve-wracking because, you were there until the last minute. You were going to survive. The company was going to go bust or not. So it was hard. But, at the same time, it worked out. I mean, we had a lot of kind of good surprises on the way. People who joined us, companies who joined us, sponsors who believed in the project. So it was in the end, it was great.
Yeah, in those tough times, what were you telling people, like potential investors or potential customers? What were you telling them? Because this is a thing that at the very beginning, I guess people wouldn't really understand or know what it was. And they'd be like, wait, what is it just Formula One or is it just electric vehicles? Are electric vehicles exciting? I mean, they're kind of slow, aren't they? I mean, did you have to go through all those things?
Oh, we had to go through all of that. But the main point we had to go through is to convince people we were going to survive. Because the problem is everybody thought we were going to go bankrupt. So, like everybody. So once everybody thinks you're going to go bankrupt, they don't really want to associate with you or partner with you because they think they're partnering with someone that is going to go bankrupt. So the way we broke that kind of negative kind of lock was when we found two really big American companies that became our shareholders, Liberty Global and Discovery. And then kind of the whole ecosystem changed their mind overnight. And they were like, well, hold on a second. These guys were going to go bankrupt. But now these two huge companies have made an investment. So this means they're not going to go bankrupt anymore. Actually, it's a pretty cool project. Let's get in. It was as simple as that.
I mean, you make it sound simple, Alejandro, but I can imagine that must have been some, at least a couple of sleepless nights for you. But then,
yeah, for sure.
But then you have the competition. It's running really well. How has it grown since those very earliest days? You've got 30,000 in London now. Were you expecting to be at this level where you are right now from when it started?
Well, for me, the expectation was only to be alive. So, of course, we are a lot better than what I expected when we started, a lot better. It's grown fantastically well. You know, it's really gathered a huge awareness, especially in many countries. But, you know, you go to Mexico, you get 40,000, 50,000 people. You go to Indonesia, we get like over 10 million people watching the race live on TV every time. You go to places, you know, like London here, for example, but like Rome, you get huge crowds. So it's really getting awareness, which wasn't easy in the beginning because people are like, oh, these cars don't make noise. So on that sense, it's going really well. We got a lot of car manufacturers in. Some left, some came back in. There is a lot of, you know, movement in the grid, but, you know, it's really, I mean, it's incredible brands. We just got Maserati and McLaren to sign up for the championship next season. Yeah, so it's great, really. I can't ask for more.
Yeah, I mean, having companies like Maserati, having companies like McLaren, huge names in racing, that must be, I guess for you, given the trials and the tribulations of just getting this thing off the ground, having those names, those brands involved with you must be really vindicating for your idea.
Very much. It's like a confirmation, you know, and I mean, I never thought that McLaren, for example, would come into a championship like this, no, but they have, which is also a sign of how things are changing in general in the world. We have these companies, no. Some others have left, like Mercedes, for example, decided to stop. I called them. I'm very good friends with Toto Wolff, with the team principal of Mercedes, and I told them that they're having the last combustion party, you know. Because combustion is going to be banned, you know, so it's a finish. Combustion is going to finish, it's going to be banned in 2030 and 2035.
Yeah.
And I give you the example is like, imagine you like wine and they tell you in 2030, you cannot drink more wine. Then you start drinking a lot of wine now. You know, that's what they're doing. I think that they're racing as much as they can with gasoline until they cannot race anymore with gasoline, and then they will come back.
Yeah, I guess when that comes in, you know, various countries over the world are doing this. That's going to be, it's a good thing for Formula E, isn't it?
Of course, because we are not going to be banned. So we're fine. I mean, the European Union is also has just announced, the European Parliament has announced, let's see what happens with the Council, the final decision, but that they want to ban also on synthetic fuels and on e-fuels. So all kind of combustion basically is, you know, one way or another going to be banned. So yeah, I think electric, hydrogen, that's the way for the future.
That was Alejandro Agag. If you're interested in electric vehicles and how they could shape the future, check out the Evening Standard's Plug It In campaign, where you can find out how EVs are shaping the future and guides on which one might be best for you. Search Evening Standard, Plug It In. How to Be a CEO is available every Monday morning. Let's catch up then.